everybody. It's Joe Vizio here. It's been a while since I've made my last video. Been pretty crazy busy lately. And, I've also been feeling pretty good. So I guess if I'm feeling good and I don't feel like I have anything to talk about, I guess I'm not going to clog up them internets, huh? Wanted to make a video today, touch base with everybody, and I've seen some couple things going around here and there, and I just figured that I would kind of make my comments on it. Here we go. First of all, I want to say, if you hear somebody that's talking about narcissistic abuse, even if they don't call it that, even if they don't know what it is, if you feel comfortable enough, you might want to introduce that person to some of the steps that you've taken for your recovery. Because you have to kind of think back about where you were before you learned about this and how you felt. If you remember, you felt pretty bad. You felt useless. Your self-esteem was so low. You really couldn't tell anybody because nobody really believed you. Especially if one of your narcs is like the pillar of the community. That's how I like to describe my father. Because although some people can see, and they always just kind of regarded it as that my father was just kind of an asshole. Oh, he's such a great guy. Yeah, he don't take no shit from nobody, does he? I mean, that's how they would describe it. So you got to figure that other people out there are going through the same thing. We know. So if you see somebody talking about it, if you see somebody on Facebook making little posts, reach out to them and let them know, hey, you're not alone. This is what I do. These are videos that I've watched. Here's links. This is my videos if you're willing to share videos if you make them. Because they really do help people. And I have to go back to a time when I was in therapy. And I was telling the doctor, this guy was a licensed psychiatrist, so I could feel a little more comfortable calling him a doctor. And anyway, I was telling him about the videos that I made and videos that I was watching from Ollie Matthews and James Christian and others. And he was just kind of beside himself. And where you might think a therapist, just wants to take your money, this guy was like, this is great. He says, this could probably save somebody's life. If somebody is just that distraught and they just find what you're doing and they can relate, you can save a life. And you can. I believe so. I'll never forget the time that I found Ollie. I was just, I really and not even really made the discovery. I just, and I tell my story, my testimonial often, where, I was just cruising my Facebook thing, and somebody had put up this picture that was pointing out a flawed baby boomer generation, and what should have been funny brought me to tears. I mean, a full-grown man. I mean, I was just in tears, and I made the connection that picture was my father talking to me. And I just went on to YouTube, and I put in the word baby boomers, and one of the first choices was the baby boomer rant from Ollie Matthews. And I listened to that video over and over. It was a 2-part video. I listened to it over and over again. It was like a security blanket covering me. And I expanded. I subscribed to Ollie, and I got into all the other videos he made, and I went and I started at video number 1, and I believe I watched every one of Ollie's videos. After I watched probably maybe 10 of his videos, I just thought, that's a brilliant thing that he's doing, recording himself. So I started recording myself. And I never really, intended to publish it, because, I kind of felt embarrassed of what I went through. But, it was somebody else's video that I was watching, and they had said to share as much of your story as you feel comfortable, because other people are going to depend on it. And so I made all my videos public. I guess it's kind of like standing out there naked sometimes, but when I think of the comfort that I got from watching Ollie, the comfort that I was getting from watching my own videos and being able to relate to myself, that this is brilliant. This is really going to help people. This is going to help yourself. And this is just my point of view on this. Nothing can really make a person that feels worthless feel like they have worth when they feel like they're doing something that is helpful. And you make these videos and you put them out there, and you just think, and mind you, I don't have a lot of subscribers. I mean, I'm all eight months into this. I think I might have 50 people that subscribe to me. I might be closing in on 3,000 views total. I think my highest video watch views is, maybe 150. So, I mean, I'm not that popular. And, that doesn't bother me at all. I still like doing this because it's helpful to, number one, myself. And as I've said before, that was the whole reason why I did this. But if a couple people got something out of what I did, and it's helpful to them, at least to the point where it inspires them to either do the same or maybe seek somebody else out that may know a little more about this, then I feel like I connected a dot. I feel like maybe I did help somebody. So, make sure that you don't just kind of hide out in the shadows. Throw up that flag. Make the connection with a person. Say, hey, I felt like this too, but this may be a little bit of what happened to me, if you want to elaborate on yourself a little bit. And this is what I've done to keep myself going. And it works. I am a testament to that. And if you do watch my videos, and if you start from video number 1 and just go through the line and watch them, you can see where video number 1, yeah, man, I was kind of a pretty angry person. I was holding on to a lot of animosity that was eating me up. And then as you get to my later videos, and even this video here, I don't seem that angry anymore. I mean, I have my moments. I mean, I'm still pissed off about what happened to me, but I just don't harbor it. I get fired up when I'm talking about it, but you know, I don't just sit and dwell on it. I don't go into one of my jobs and here I am mopping the floor, just thinking about that time Daddy beat me, or those times Daddy beat me, or you know, it doesn't eat my soul anymore. So I can't stress to you enough how important doing this is, and don't let your fellow man just kind of swing in the breeze. Help him or her out when you can. Guide them in the right direction. And as we all make these connections, and as we all can relate to each other, it's cheaper than therapy. Although, and as Ali Matthews said, don't let this be your only source of therapy. You know, some of us could really use some professional therapy, and if you can find the right doctor, they're going to know how to deal with some of this. As my therapist told me, that when you have a traumatic event in your life, it does not store the memory in the proper place. And I'll use the example he used to me. He says, you remember putting your shoes on. You remember a bird flying by. But it's not something that sticks in your head. Maybe if somebody says, hey, you remember that bird flew by? Oh, yeah, I remember. It was blue. But it's not in the front of your mind, it's in the back. When you have a traumatic event, something that can cause you post-traumatic stress disorder, like many of us have, it's like punching into the sand where it makes an imprint. And it stays right, it's right there. I mean, it's made an imprint. It's indented into your memory. So it's one of the first things on the shelf. As soon as you open up that cabinet door, it's like a can of peas falling out and hitting you. So our brains have to be retrained on how to store these memories. I believe it 100%. I think that, you know, that's one of the things that makes the most sense to me on a therapist standpoint. But as Ali always says, and as I say, before you talk to a therapist, make sure that they are prepared to deal with narcissistic personality disorder. And as my therapist told me, and I'm not seeing him anymore, but when I was seeing him, he told me, he says, you know, I don't treat symptoms, I treat causes. And we get to the root cause of what happened to you, and we're going to learn how to reprocess it. He knew what he was doing. So this video's coming up on 15 minutes long. You know me, I usually make them a little longer than that. That's probably why I don't keep a lot of viewers, because I got these long-winded rants, but I am who I am, man. If I can't tell a story, I'm not going to do it half-ass. But I am going to end this here. I'm sitting out in front of my first place. This is my Sunday work day, so I'm going to be out probably about 10, 11 hours today doing this. So, you know, I feel like I got a couple videos in me today. On my next one, if you want to stay tuned for it, I've seen on some of the narcissistic message boards, you know, someone had said something about raising their kids and trying not to make the same mistakes. And I'm going to touch on that subject. And as you know, I mean, I really don't like to project myself as I'm giving you advice, although, you know, this one is very much that. There are times when I feel like, you know, something might be helpful, so I am going to say it, so you can construe it as advice if you like to. It is what it is, and that's what this is. So I want to kind of touch on that subject of raising your own kids, just because I've had a big change in how I deal with my kids, and it's been really helpful to me, and I think it's made me a better father and a better husband. So I'll share some of my thoughts on that there, and, you know, as usual, you take what you can get from it. But until then, I'll go clean me some toilet bowls. Thank you very much.